The BC government is putting an end to subject-free offers. Let's talk about it. Last week on this channel, we talked about a major change that's coming to the Canadian real estate market, the end of blind bidding. This week, we're talking about one that is specific to BC, and that is that the government is going to be introducing a cooling off period. What has been proposed is that all offers will have a mandatory 7-day period where the buyer can change their mind for any reason and collapse the deal without any obligation to the seller. One of the major reasons that this cooling off period is being put in place is because the government is worried about protecting buyers. Buyers are going into subject-free offers when they don't have their financing approved. They are often skipping a home inspection, although sometimes some buyers are doing them before offers are looked at, but that can get pretty expensive if you write on offer after offer after offer. And in theory, the government is worried about that buyers aren't reading all of the strata documents on condos and townhouses, although I can say that in practice, I don't think that one is happening. The government is reporting that over 70% of offers that are being accepted in the last couple of years have been subject-free offers. I don't know where they got that stat, I don't know how accurate it is, but I can say that from my own observations over the last couple of years, every offer that was getting accepted had no subject. You were often competing with 10 to 15 other buyers, and if you weren't subject-free, you just weren't in contention. New developments have been doing this for years. They have had a mandatory rescission period, and for those properties, this has been really great for buyers. I don't see a ton of buyers writing on new developments and then just getting cold feet, changing their mind and walking away. It hasn't disrupted the industry. In fact, if anything, I think it's been really good. There is, however, a major difference between the way that new developments are sold and resale properties are sold. And that is that new developers rarely, if ever, put buyers into multiple offers. It's just first come, first serve. Now, if we're entering into a situation where buyers are competing with others, it's very easy for a buyer to lose their minds and then the next day wake up and think, what did I do? This is the reason why sellers are more likely to accept a subject-free offer over one with subjects, because buyer remorse in competition is very real. One thing that I think is a potential downside to what they're introducing is that they're going to actually make it way easier for buyers to throw their hat in the ring and compete. Right now, if you have 4 properties that all come out in the same week and are all looking at offers on the same day, the buyer has to decide which one they like the best and write on that one. Because if they wrote a subject-free offer on 4 different properties and more than one of them got accepted, they're now obligated to buy each of those properties. Under the new rules, a buyer could look at all 4 of those properties, write on all 4, and if they get more than one, they could just walk away from whichever one they liked the least. Unless they introduce some sort of rule to stop this, this could actually drive prices up. If you have 20 buyers, and they're all searching for similar properties, and those 4 properties all come out in the same week and are all looking at offers on the same day, and on average 5 of those buyers write on each of those properties, you have 5 people competing. And an old rule of thumb that isn't 100% accurate, but there is a lot of truth to it in real estate, is that every offer is worth an extra $5,000 in the seller's pocket. So on average, those 5 buyers, 5 times 5 is $25,000 extra is going to be generated by that multiple offer. Now let's say you have 20 buyers and all 20 of those buyers are going to write on each of those 4 properties. All 4 of those properties are going to get on average 20 times 5 is $100,000 extra. There is a very real possibility that this new way of doing things actually drives prices up. I think one other potential problem is that if they aren't careful in the way that they word this new process, that there is the potential to game the system. Buyers and buyers agents are always going to try and get some sort of advantage when they're going into a multiple offer. They might offer the dates that the seller wants. They might offer a rent back. They used to do subject free. If they're allowed to put a non-refundable deposit down, that will make the entire cooling off period moot. Because if I put $60,000 or $70,000 down and you get that even if I walk away, well then what's the point? The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver has taken an issue with the cooling off period. Their worry is that it's not protecting sellers and that, like I said, it has the potential to drive prices up. They are proposing an alternative where a listing has to be on the market for 7 days. During this time, buyers would have time to read strata documents, have their home inspection, and get their potential financing approved before offers are looked at. Now, the finance minister, Selina Robinson, took umbrage with what the real estate board proposed, and basically she said, we're a commission-based business, of course we want this crazy hot market, we shouldn't really be taking into account what the realtors think. To be honest, I don't know if I love what the real estate board is proposing, but I take a real issue with what Selina Robinson is saying and how dismissive she's being of our industry. The reality is that the reason so many homes are going into multiple offers is that we have a massive shortage of listings. And if you've ever heard of the 80-20 rule, in real estate, it's more like the 80-10 rule. 10% of the realtors list 80% of the homes. So if there are not enough listings, you have 90% of listing agents unable to have anything to sell and to make a living. The flip side is that buyer's agents in this market have to work way harder than they've ever had to work before. A good friend of mine had one group of buyers that she wrote 10 offers with. They lost in multiple offers 10 times and eventually got discouraged and quit. Your average realtor sells less than 10 homes a year. She did a year's worth of work for many agents and got paid nothing. I don't know a single realtor who enjoys working in this market. I actually think a rescission period, or a cooling off period as they're calling it, is a good idea. I think it really protects buyers and will be a good thing for our industry. But I think they need to solve those two problems that I brought up. Not letting buyers put down non-refundable deposits and putting something in place so that buyers can't write on 4 properties in the same day and drive all of the prices up. I think if there was some sort of small expense for walking away, if it wasn't completely scot-free, that might help. Although, in all honesty, that might just be the cost of doing business. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I think it's really important that the government looks into it. One thing that I think is important to emphasize is that the market is naturally doing what the government is trying to artificially do. The market has already cooled off, and a big part of that is buyer fatigue and rising interest rates. If we take New West, for example, between March and April, the average condo and townhouse price dropped by about $45,000. If we're looking at houses, prices actually went up a little bit. Although if we look at the percentage of houses that are selling, we went from about 42% of all homes selling every month, dropping down to about 29%. I think when the May stats are released, we will see that that has continued to drop and that prices have come down as well. I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions about what's going on in the real estate market, leave a comment down below. I am happy to discuss it with you. And in the meantime, if you want more informational videos like this or cool videos showcasing the listings I have for sale, please subscribe. I think next week we're going to talk about the third big change to the real estate market in the Greater Vancouver area, which is the new foreign buyer policies. See you then.